So I want to cover a topic today, and we're just going to maybe just scratch the surface, and maybe not get into too great of detail, because my biggest challenge, which I've got so many topics that I want to teach you guys, the biggest challenge is trying to compress it into a 30-minute period of time. So, and sometimes breaking it into segments is not always the most convenient thing. And, the audience is different if we break it into part one, part two, part three, like I've done in the past. But today there have been some events going on, nothing locally, but in the world, that make us start thinking about realtor safety. Okay. And you as agents need to be thinking about this. The world is not always a safe place. And especially you ladies, you guys are, by the very nature, a little bit more vulnerable than, ugly guys like Guggen and I are. Um, so didn't mean to throw you in front of the bus like that, Guggen, but you know how it is, man. Um, so I want you guys to be thinking about this. I would not be able to live with myself if something happened to you guys and I had not put out some ground rules and some things for you to be thinking about in terms of your safety as you do your job. So the very nature of our business requires us to to a certain extent, to be out there and to put ourselves out there. um, and uh, and that's a reality of the world that we live in. But doesn't mean that we have to be vulnerable and put ourselves into position. So we're just going to cover a handful of things. I've got a whole bunch of information. I literally have a resource that I pulled from the National Association of Real Estate, and I'm going to share this with all of you. We'll get posted on Workplace here shortly. But it is 56 safety tips. Okay, 56 is way more than we're going to be able to cover today, but we're going to hit the highlights. And this is an open dialogue, open forum. I'd love to hear if you've had any stories or any firsthand experience with any situations, and then so we'll just talk about them, and we'll learn from our peers and our team members. Somebody says yay. Um, and and then we'll go from there. All right. Any questions as we get rolling? Okay, I am going to share my screen, and I'm going to share this screen. Okay, are y'all looking at safety tips pamphlet handout thing from National Association of Real Estate?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so these are just a handful of tips. Some of these are really basic and really elemental. Some of them are things that apply not only to your business and your real estate business, but also to your home. So the first one is pretty obvious. Keep it light. Show properties before dark. If you're going to be working after hours, advise your associates and your supervisors of your schedule. Um, this time of year changes things. I would not schedule a showing, to be honest with you, after 5:30 in the evening during this winter time of the year, when things get dark way early because of the daylight savings time. So keep that in mind as you're showing a property, not only from a safety aspect, but simply from a you can't do an effective evaluation of a home when it's completely dark outside. Don't be lured into thinking that because it's such a seller's market that you got to get in there right away. If it's dark outside and you can't see the exterior, it's the same as buying it sight unseen, right? Yeah, you might be able to see the inside, but if the outside is falling apart, your client needs to be able to see 100% of it. Okay, and use that with your clients. Tell them, no, I don't want to go. Can you get off earlier, a little earlier than 5, because it's going to be dark. All right. So safety tip number 2, checking in when you have a new client, ask them to stop by your office and complete a prospect identification form. I don't know that anybody has ever done that. However, if you are meeting somebody, here's what I'm going to tell you, especially ladies, listen up. If you do not get a good feeling, I'm a true believer in your gut. Let your gut be your guide. If you get even the slightest creepy vibe from anybody that you come into contact with, then you can absolutely have them come by the office, have them have your initial meeting take place in a very public place like a Starbucks or a coffee shop, restaurant, anywhere. Have it in a public place where you have the element of safety and doing it in the public. All right. And it is not uncommon to also have them come into the office and have your first meeting be in the office. If somebody is unwilling to come into your office, red flag. Okay. If you're showing somebody and you're not comfortable with anything, you can ask them to take a picture of their identification of their driver's license and text that to you prior to meeting a complete stranger at a showing property. Okay. The other thing I would advise is you can also, when you arrive at that showing, when you go up to them in a very obvious and public way, you can take your phone out, go over and take a picture of their license plate on their car. And you turn around and you text that to me. You can text that to one of your peer agents within the office and say, "Hey, showing a property. This is the license number of the individual that I'm showing it to." Okay. I tell you all these things at the risk of scaring you. I hope I'm not, uh, but but I want you to just be aware. All right. All right. So limit the amount of personal information that you share online, in public, in your marketing, things like that, photographs. Ladies, I would advise you to be a little bit more discreet in the photographs that you're posting. You don't want anything that is too revealing or um, that might attract the wrong audience. Can I just is that have I said enough? All right, so don't be too public. Touch base. Always let someone know where you are, where you're going, and when you'll be back. Your husband, wife, partner, team members within the office, children, anybody. Me. If you need a safety partner, I will happily be your safety partner. All right. If you are hosting an open house, don't assume that everyone has left the premises at the end of the open house. Have yourself and your a colleague go through the house, make sure all the rooms are empty before you start packing up and before you let your guard down and become comfortable. Enough said. Stranger danger. Tell your clients not to show their home by themselves. If you have, this is obviously for a listing. Alert them that not all agents, buyers, and sellers who are who they say they are. Predators come in all shapes and sizes, so be aware. Okay, that's one of the value propositions that we as agents have. I'm gonna I'm gonna look y'all in the eye as I'm telling you this. It's one of the value propositions that you have as a real estate agent that a for sale by owner or somebody that's trying to do it on their own does not have. They cannot say that I have a secure method of getting into your home. You're not going to be opening your home to complete and total strangers. The only people that will have access to your home, your listing, are other real estate agents because we are using a system that has them background checked, qualified, and nobody's going to get into your house that has not gone through that process. Okay, that is a differentiator between you and the for sale by owner. Anybody use that in the past? Have I said anything so far that has sparked anybody's aha, or anybody got any great stories to tell me? Y'all are exciting today. All right, let's go back. Okay, so I'm not going to cover number 7, 8, and 9. Well, 7 and 8 are more about home stuff. Keep track of your colleagues. Have a check in and a check out. We don't have a board within the office, but you guys can absolutely do something like this amongst yourselves. Okay, so Athena, when you're going out, you text Julia and say, "Hey, I'm going on a showing. I'll text you when I'm done." All right. This is a big one that I am a huge proponent of. Is wearing your name badge anywhere and everywhere that you go. One, it identifies you as the person that is in charge at a showing, especially in this market where there's multiple showings. If you're not wearing a name badge and there's 3 people walking to the front door, they may grab, the previous agent may grab your seller or your buyer and think that they're the agent. And so just keep your ID badge on you at all times. You guys see me every day. I always have my name badge on. I wear it everywhere I go. Um, and I'm not facing clients every day. Okay. It identifies you. And oh, by the way, it's a great marketing tool. When you're at the gas station pumping gas and the person across from you sees that you're a real estate agent, I've literally had people come up to me at a gas station and say, "Hey, how's the market doing?" Okay. Grocery stores, all of that. All right. The next tip, number 11, is absolutely huge, y'all. Huge. Always, when you are showing home, always be the last one to go into a room. Let your client and your prospect walk in front of you. Don't lead them. Don't allow them to be exposed to your back. Okay, and keep some arm's length from them. Okay. There are some horror stories, which I'm not going to scare you with, but there are horror stories of people that have literally been stabbed, murdered, shot, because they have turned their back on a client that was off. Okay. Number 12, pick up some self-defense skills and or equipment, and we're going to have that conversation in a little bit because it's another tip. Okay, the best way to find a good self-defense class is to learn what is available. If you are looking for resources, I can plug you into some resources. If you are looking for firearms training, I can definitely help you with that. If you're looking for a good store to find something as simple as pepper spray or a taser, those resources are available, and I would strongly uh, ask you to consider your thought processes as to whether or not you would feel better using something like that. All right. Tip number 13, do not drive your clients in your car. Instead, have them meet you at the property. And when you leave your car, make sure you lock it. Got to admit, I'm pretty bad about that one. But always want to leave your car because you never know, somebody could be getting in your car behind you while you're inside the house, and you come out and you get jumped from the back seat. Okay. Tip number 13 or 14 and 15 are pretty elemental. This one talks about make sure you got self-service in the areas where you're showing. They specifically talk about commercial properties, but here we're probably more inclined to be in rural areas where mobile phones may not reach everywhere. So be aware of that. Be conscious. Tip number 16, choose flight over fight. While every real estate agent should take a basic self-defense course, the primary goal in any threatening situation is to escape from the immediate danger and call for help. Okay, always have an escape route. When you go into a home, when you're showing a home, you're going in through the front door, But one of the first things that I would be doing is, next to turning on the lights and making sure that the home is not occupied by vagrants or squatters. The first thing that I would be doing after that is finding out where the back door is so that I have an escape route if I need it. All right. Number 17, caller ID on a telephone. I'm not sure I fully get that one. We live in a day and age where everybody has caller ID. All right. Just brought a new entertainment system. A bunch of empty boxes at the curb triggers an alarm that would, for would-be thieves. This is not only for yourself but for your clients as they're moving in. All right. Tell your sellers not to leave personal information like mails or bills or prescriptions or anything like that out in the open, or their computers or laptops laying out when you're showing houses. Anything that might be easy to pocket would be a potential hazard. And not only should you be aware of that, you should also make your clients aware of it. I love this one, number 20. Tip number 20, agree on an office distress code. Does anybody know what our office distress code is? Well, I'm going to tell you. Okay. If you ever hear the term in our office, the gold team. The gold team is for lack of a better term, our office bouncers. You all have seen lately, we've tightened up security a little bit. Again, not for any immediate threat that anybody is aware of, but just being smart in this day and age. And we now have the security, and you have to use your fobs to get into our office. If somebody does get into our office, if any one of our staff members mentions anything about the gold team, there's a handful of individuals within this office that will absolutely respond and respond quickly. And we are the bouncers that will escort anybody out of this office. Okay, we all cool? All right, you need to have an excuse ready. Part of being prepared to deal with a threatening situation is having an out. Ladies, I want to hear yours. What do you have? Who's used one in the past
I
or
don't
has one
really,
prepared?
I don't really have an excuse, but I have weapons. I have a gun, a taser, a knife, all of it.
Good for you. Good for you. And Jasmine, I just saw your chat about a question. What did you have?
Yeah, well, it's kind of like a story almost, but like
Okay.
it happened this past Saturday where I woke up to like this random text of someone saying they wanted to see a house that morning. But it was
Mm-hmm.
like 7 o'clock when they texted me and they're like, oh, I want to see two houses in Woodstock at 10 or 11. And they're like, I'm in the mountains right now and like my service isn't too good or whatever. They're like, I'm pre-approved for like 600 and this and that. And I was like, okay, well, can you send me your pre-approval? And they were making like excuses like, oh, I don't have service. And I was like, okay, well, text me the name of your lender so I can at least reach out to them.
Good
And
girl.
I Googled them because they sent me the name of the company. And then I was like, what's the name of the person? So then I Googled the person and the number, and like they had no reviews or anything. And I sent them an email for confirmation if the information was like accurate and stuff. But long story short, I kept asking them so many questions. They're like, I'm just going to reach out to another agent. I was like, okay, well, good luck. So
There you go. There you go. I couldn't agree with you more. Could that have potentially been a business opportunity that you missed out on? Yep. But is it worth it? Nope. Not in my opinion. Good girl. Karma is a good thing. I'm hoping you're going to get 3 more deals instead of the one you could have potentially missed out on. Anybody else have their excuse ready? Is I have another client that just reached out to me. I need to go. Anybody else got anything to add? Okay. Let me go back and share my screen again, and we're going to talk about a handful more in the 6 more minutes that I've got. Okay. If you're working later in the office, always lock the doors, and be aware of who else is in the building. One of the things I love about our office, come 5:30, 6, 7 o'clock at night, whenever the staff starts to leave, one of the things I admire and respect greatly about Dwayne Amos is the way he watches out for the rest of the staff, especially the ladies on the staff. 9 times out of 10, either he or I will carry Karen's bags to her car for her and make sure that she gets out there. Okay. And we'll do that for you. If you're on the other side of the building, we always know who is here, who is left over, and be very conscious of that. All right. Sorry, didn't mean to go too far. Your email is public. Don't send any vital or private information via email, especially wiring instructions. This is not a personal safety, but this is a business safety issue. Okay. You absolutely need to use your C21 email to do the majority of your business, as opposed to a personal Gmail account or even a Realtor Gmail extension, because we have security protocols in place with our email system that are going to protect you in the long run. All right. If you're unfamiliar with an area when you're showing properties, make sure you note some landmarks, points of interest. Who uses Waze amongst the group? Big fan of Waze. So Waze is a great way to stay aware of your surroundings and what's around you. Okay. Careful with cash deposits. How often should we ever be handling cash, y'all? Thank you. Never. You should never be handling deposits. If you do end up with a check as opposed to the electronic means of earnest money deposits, then you should treat that like a hot potato, and you should get it out of your hands as quickly as possible. Okay. And if you are ever in a situation where you were given a set of keys for a client for a showing, you should also secure those keys as if they were your own keys. Don't leave them on your desk. Don't leave them in a desk drawer. They should be secure. If you don't have a way to lock it up, let one of us on the staff know, and we will secure it for you until such time as that key needs to be placed on your client's house. Okay. Well, we got through 27 of the 50 some. Maybe we could pick up the next time, but I'm also going to publish this out to everybody. That's a good stopping point, and we will pick up from there the next time, but this will also be published on Workplace. Does anybody have any burning questions or any concerns or anything you want to add?
I just want to say that anybody and everybody that deals with the public like we do, I think it's important that we know how to use a firearm. And if you are scared of one, get some training and figure out how to do it, just in case.
On a personal note, I agree completely. And also on a personal note, if I personally can be of assistance to any of you in that regards, I have been shooting since I was a child. I was in the United States Air Force for 15 years, and I shot expert marksmanship every single year I ever was in the Air Force. And so if you want to go to a range, if you want to learn, I can either connect you with resources or you and I can go. I throw that out to anybody and everybody. Okay. All right. By the way, Trevon's on the gold team.
Knew he would be.
All right. Thank you all. I appreciate your time. Was this good information? Was this helpful?
Yes, very
Yes,
helpful.
thanks, Jay.
You are very welcome. Y'all have a great day. Be safe out there. And let's go sell some real estate. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.